There's a common debate on the truthfulness of exorcisms. Exorcisms are extremely religious rituals performed on an individual to rid them of their demons. Exorcisms are largely Judeo-Christian and spiritualistic concepts. The religions that most commonly practice exorcisms are Catholic and Muslim. However, every culture has a different interpretation of exorcisms and the history behind them.
For example, Buddhists use a different nonviolent strategy. According to Mr. Shane Qian, chief editor of the Web and Library Departments at the Kong Meng San for Clark Sea Monastery, Buddhist exorcism does not aim to trap, hurt, kill, or chase away harmful unseen beings. The prayer and meditation is carried out for the purpose of persuading the spirit to leave the body. Buddhist exorcism aims for a win-win situation for the involved human and spirit. Those who are seen as two parties negatively affected by grudges that require peaceful negotiation.
Traditional exorcisms are performed using holy water, chants, prayers, and crucifixes. They tend to use more severe tactics. There are often post-ritual recommendations encouraging individuals to go through counseling to enhance their spiritual life.
The conspiracy revolving around exorcisms is simply if they are real demonic possessions and if they actually work. Today we will be debunking this theory. Our research and findings indicate that many of the possessed are really just misdiagnosed and or mentally ill.
There have been many deaths caused by exorcisms and the treatment involved. Natty Jerma says there are 370,000 reported cases of people killed during exorcism and another 310,000 reported injuries. However, these numbers are an underestimate as there are still unreported fatal cases in many rural areas of developing countries where mental illness is stigmatized. Amora Bain Carson, a 1-year-old girl who was bludgeoned over 20 times by her parents as they believed she was possessed by demons. She died December 2nd, 2008.
Another example, a shaman beaten mother of 2 from Thailand with a dried stingray tail because the family had suggested it as a way to rid her from mental illness, later revealed to be a form of motor disorder. Despite her efforts to flee, the shaman abducted her and continued until she died. Even though the shaman was later charged with murder, this case study shows that the process of exorcism can be fatal and victims have been bound, beaten, burned, starved, and even tortured.
Adam Bly, a coach for priests learning to perform exorcisms, believes that possessed individuals have a heart that is so black that it lacks any hesitation or compassion, that you know they could tear you apart and be smiling the entire time. He claims that there's a sense of evil with a demon that is so far beyond any human he's ever met that it's impossible to convey in words. A 47-year-old teacher, unnamed, told the Sunday Times that during her exorcism over a year ago, it felt like she had something inside of her. She claimed it felt as if she were pregnant. She described it as if someone were trying to suffocate her from the inside, and she had felt like there's no control over her own body. Her family said they remembered her screaming for hours on end and then abruptly going quiet.
When they took her to the hospital, all of her vital signs were completely normal. The doctor told them to look for other treatment. They saw a consultant psychiatrist, Brian Yao, who was rather skeptical about possession. He says that he sees one patient every 2 to 3 weeks who is supposedly possessed. He believes that the so-called possessions are in fact mental problems, usually triggered by stress. In his professional opinion, behaviors such as that described by the teacher could be explained medically as entering a hysterical trance state. He says that the symptoms are the same, it's just a case that is different. Such a state could be triggered by stress.
Stress could be a trigger that could cause an individual to have a manic or stress-induced episode, which can look like symptoms of possession. Mental illnesses could also be misdiagnosed as possessed. According to Natty Jerma, in some cultures, psychological disorders that have a motor component, such as Huntington's disease, Tourette syndrome, and schizophrenia, can result in the individual being labeled as possessed. Therefore, it is imperative to raise awareness about treatments for mental disorders in an area where exorcism is prevalent and mental illness is a social stigma.
A lot of these people that are undergoing exorcisms were actually misdiagnosed and have some kind of mental illness, such as dissociative identity disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, Tourette's, or various other mental conditions. Natty Jerma says that the illusion that exorcism works on people with a disease experiencing supposed symptoms of possession can be attributed to the placebo effect. If they believe that they are possessed by evil spirits and that exorcisms are the only solution, they might just believe that they work.
Are you the priest? Show me the girl.
What happened?
My daughter. She's possessed. There's a demon in there. That is not my daughter. It's not my daughter.
Is your daughter perhaps an Olympic gymnast?
No, she was never really very athletic. Bless her heart.
Oh.
Possessed!
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
What are you doing? What happened? Is my
that video.
And debunk the video.
Alright, so in it we have a girl who's seemingly possessed by demons.
Because she's crawling upside down.
With a couple of symptoms, including speaking a different language, crawling upside down with no history of gymnastics or anything like that.
Breaking Rosemary's.
Yep.
Screaming.
All symptoms and things that happen during exorcisms and possessions. So she was in the back bend because she just started yoga and she was practicing. She was trying to get more flexible. And she screamed because a man came charging in her room and started yelling things at her. I'd scream too.
And then she speaks Spanish because she just learned how at school, and those are the only 4 words she knows, and that's what she does when she's nervous.
Freaked out in an odd situation. So when the priest was throwing water at her and the rosemary broke, it broke because he pulled it too hard. Not because of a phenomenon, a supernatural phenomenon. It just broke.
And she screamed when she got the water thrown on her because it was cold.
And she got water thrown on her by a random, strange
priest.
man.
Random priest throwing
That
water.
her mother invited in the house. She had no clue about.
Yeah.
Everything is explainable. Don't assume you're possessed because it could also be mental illness.
Yes, that's it.
Bye!
Bye! Oh, that does make sense.